Joining us now from the capital, Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, the national spokesperson of the Congress. We are also joined by Prashant Bhushan, he's the national executive member of AAP, and Prakash Javadekar, the spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Bhushan, if I can come to you first. Now, the line, populist anarchy cannot be a substitute for governance. Yogendra Yadav says it's not a reference to AAP, it's a reference to the capitalism, crony capitalism, the violence, the vote banks that other politicians are using.
Yeah, I mean, if it is a reference to AAP, then perhaps the president means that this dharna cannot continue, that the chief minister cannot sit on a dharna while he is the chief minister. If this is what he is saying, then that is obviously not acceptable, because chief minister, like any other citizen, has an equal right to sit on a dharna on any issue on which he feels that public opinion needs to be mobilized, which is beyond his control. Obviously, he needs to do the governance that is under his control, but on things which are not in his control, on which public opinion needs to be mobilized, or on which you have to take a stand against another government, there the chief minister is equally entitled to sit on a dharna.
So the dharna alone, Prashant Bhushan, the president is not referring to the incident in Khirki with the Law Minister Somnath Bharti when he's talking about anarchy?
I don't think he's talking about that. I mean, I don't know whether he's talking about that, but so far as anarchy is concerned, what happens in parliament these days, or what happens in many state assemblies these days across the states, can be considered to be anarchy, where parliament is held to ransom, not allowed to function for days on end, etc.
Dr. Singhvi, if I can bring you here, what do you think is the message, Dr. Singhvi?
2 or 3 points. One is that, on a lighter side, I am reminded that when we were younger, we were told that if anybody says something which fits what you have done, you should keep quiet, because if you object, it seems like you are having a guilty conscience, which means that you think already that it's meant for you. So the fact that Yogendra ji tweeted shows that he understood that it was meant only for the AAP, or principally for the AAP. In any case, I think what I would like to say is that it's obvious that the reference is to only one party because it fits like a glove. But I have a totally different take on it. There is lots there which, if we were touchy, we could also take as against the party in government in the center. There are lots there which could be taken as against the party in government in other states, namely the BJP. You have to think of it as the president who clearly is above politics. He has a statesmanlike right to give advice and express his views. He is expressing his disgust or anger on certain issues, and he has said a truism, both about governments in power. If they ignore corruption, they will learn a lesson. This applies to state governments as well as central government.
Correct.
But we are not touchy about it. We take it in a sporting spirit. Correct. And I think that's the way AAP should take it, and that's the way the president is intended to, unless the president turns out to be somebody who's politically partisan, or who does something against constitutional ethos, which I think is
no one is saying that.
Charge for a person like Pranab.
Dr. Singhvi, let me take the point that you are raising to Mr. Javadekar. Now, like Dr. Singhvi is saying, the president is referring to all in power. He is saying false promises lead to disillusionment, which gives birth to rage, and that rage has only one legitimate target: those in power. That's everyone in power.
Yeah, absolutely. First, let me appreciate what our president has said. And like our earlier president Abdul Kalam, Pranab Mukherjee is known for his intellectual integrity, ability, and to think beyond even a period, and he can see into the future. So essentially he has raised 4 important issues for the nation to consider. One, there has to be a stability in 2014, he says. And I think that is very important. I started with stability because all you TV anchors have some kind of AAP phobia. So everything you start discussing with AAP, I don't have that phobia. So he essentially said that 2014, the country needs least play of opportunism and real play of stability to progress, to satisfy the aspirations of the youth,
Sure,
to make youth participate in the democratic process,
sure.
to give them jobs.
Since you're talking about
So
the democratic
this is, I
process,
think,
Mr.
the
Javadekar,
essence.
he also says, I'm
And
not a
democratic
cynic.
process, 1 minute.
I'm not a cynic because I know that
No.
democracy has this
I'm
marvelous
coming to that.
ability to self-correct. What is needed to
I'm
self-correct?
correct.
That means something is wrong, something is
I am
damaged.
coming to it.
Yeah.
1 minute, I am coming to it. The issue is, essentially he said all about all this stability emphasis, and I think we all should appreciate. And the elections for 2014 is about giving a stable government with a decisive mandate. That is what we are actually
Sure, sure.
going
Okay,
to
let
the
me take it
people
back
with this
to,
program.
let me take it
But-
back to Prashant
but-
Bhushan.
1 minute.
Go ahead, sir.
About the populism, what he has said is that you can give productive subsidies, but you can't make people lazy. You can't make people dependent entirely on government doles only.
Sure.
And at the same time, what Delhi has witnessed, the anarchy, the Supreme Court has said.
That's
Prashant
the,
Bhushan is
let
a
me
lawyer.
take that point
He
to
knows
Prashant
Supreme
Bhushan.
Court
Let me
has
take your
said
point, Mr.
that
Javadekar,
this
to
is
Prashant
nothing
Bhushan.
but anarchy.
Prashant Bhushan, sir, you're not saying, you're saying that the President may not be referring to you, but what about the Supreme Court when it's referring to unconstitutional behavior?
Supreme Court is asking the police as to how and why people were not stopped, why were so many people allowed to come to the site of the dharna. So they might be justified in asking the police that. However, as I was saying, sitting on a dharna is a fundamental right of every citizen in this country. Peaceful protest is a fundamental right of every citizen, including that of an elected chief minister.
Are you saying the end
Obviously,
justifies the mean,
on
Prashant?
issues which
Prashant
are
Bhushan?
within his domain.
Are you saying the ends justify the means?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the means of public protest, peaceful protest, dharna, is a constitutionally recognized, not only recognized, it's a fundamental right of all citizens. And it's been a very legitimate means of protest ever since during the independence
Dr. Singhvi,
movement and
Dr. Singhvi,
thereafter.
you want to come in there?
Ask him
it's been
what you want to say
recognized. Just one
about
second,
Supreme Court observations.
No,
He's talking about that. Dr.
I think,
Singhvi, yeah, go
we are missing one point. No, I think we are missing one point here. It is debatable on several issues, but let me for a minute concede that in the abstract, Mr. Bhushan is right, Prashant Bhushan is right, that it may be the constitutional right of a CM to do dharna, as it is indeed every citizen's right, subject to, of course, obstruction, Supreme Court orders, etc., etc. But that's missing the point altogether. The real point is that when you are in the saddle, you are expected to leave agitational politics, come up with solutions which are either principled or pragmatic within reason, work out a governance issue,
But that's his
and
point.
not merely agitate.
But that's the
and
point
that's
about
the real
AAP.
point.